Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to session number 182 of Kevin Reed's A Course in Miracles. All right. Once again, reminding everyone, this is a study group. It's just a simple study, reading through the text of A Course in Miracles, because I like it. Okay. And for other reasons, of course. All right. So we are in chapter 23. We're finishing up chapter 23 today. Chapter 23, remember, is entitled The War Against Yourself. It's always good to keep reminding ourselves that when Jesus says you or your or yourself, he's talking to that decision-making section of our mind, the decision-making part of our mind. Right? So that part of our mind all of a sudden thought, oh, maybe separation is possible. The tiny mad idea. Now all of a sudden I had to make a decision. Do I want to follow that path of separation, or do I want to remain in the oneness? And Jesus says this decision is ongoing. It's always being made. All right? So he's talking to that decision-making part of our mind. And he says, look, you're having a war against yourself. When you decide that you are separated, you're separated from the mind of God, you're at war with yourself, because you're now continually projecting enemies and projecting situations that are attacking you. All right? And when he uses the word attack, that's what he means. You're attacking yourself. You're attacking the idea of the oneness. That's who you are. And then he's going to be using the word quite often here, murder. Right? So what we're doing is murdering the idea of oneness. Okay? And all these things, attack and murder and separation, they're all reflected here in form. The content of those ideas is reflected in the form. Right? And we attack and we murder and we separate in all different ways, all different little ways. And he says ways that you don't even realize. All right? And so you don't know why you're uncomfortable. You don't know why you don't feel good. You don't know why you're unhappy or depressed, or to whatever degree you're unhappy. And all he's going to be telling us in this section is just look at it. Don't fight against it. All right? I forget what the product was, but years and years ago, there was the slogan was, don't fight it, surrender. Well, Jesus is not talking about surrender. He's just telling us, don't fight against it. Just look at it. Look at it, and look at it with me. Look at it with that idea of unconditional love around you, and you'll see. It was a silly mistake, and it's really actually meaningless. All right? There's no big punishment involved, except for the fact that you don't feel good, to whatever degree you don't feel good. That's the punishment we exact on ourselves, actually. Okay, that's enough. Let us begin. The section is, I forgot to tell you what section it was. All right, chapter 23, section 4, Roman numeral 4, IV. God bless the nurses. All right, IV, above the battleground. Above the battleground. Paragraph 1. Do not remain in conflict, for there is no war without attack. The fear of God is fear of life, not of death. Yet he remains the only place of safety. In him is no attack, and no illusion in any form stalks heaven. Heaven is wholly true. No difference enters. What is all the same cannot conflict. You are not asked to fight against your wish to murder, but you are asked to realize the form it takes conceals the same intent. And it is this you fear, not the form. What is not love is murder. What is not loving must be an attack. Every illusion is an assault on truth, and everyone does violence to the idea of love because it seems to be of equal truth. Right? So every illusion is an assault on truth. Right? And everyone does violence to the idea of love. Right? Because it, the illusion, whatever the illusion is, seems to be of equal truth. Right? We have decided to believe that we're separated, the illusion. He says, and we give that equal strength. We believe it so totally. It has equal truth to the idea of love. Okay? But he says, don't remain in conflict. And if we're here in form, we are conflicted, most likely. Unless, of course, we're experiencing the real world, where there is only forgiveness. Everything is seen correctly. Do not remain in conflict, for there is no war without attack. Right? So there is no war, there is no conflict without the original attack. I attack the oneness. Right? And you'll see how that's all reflected down here in the experience of form. So there is no war without attack. The fear of God is fear of life, not of death. Right? Ego has us convinced that if we encounter God, he's going to obliterate us. He's going to annihilate us. He's going to get even. He's going to get even for that apple caper that you pulled off in the Garden of Eden. Right? He's going to get even for the original sin. All right? That's what the ego and all its systems here in the dream, that's what it tells us, to fear God, because he's going to get you. So we become afraid of love. Right? The fear of God is the fear of life. Jesus told us, he's going to tell us again, there is no life outside of heaven. All right? So if we're afraid of God, we're afraid of life. Yet God remains the only place of safety. So we have this, we're attracted to it and we're afraid of it. Right? We want to go to God for safety, but we don't think we can get that close because he's going to get us. We owe him. We think we have to atone, have to make sacrifices. All that is, it's just not true. All right? I don't want to denigrate anyone's beliefs, but for the followers of Course in Miracles, Jesus is telling us it's not true. You don't have to sacrifice. You don't have to atone. Right? So God remains the only place of safety, even though we're afraid of him. In him is no attack, and no illusion in any form stalks heaven. Right? There's no illusions in heaven. There's no ideas of attack in heaven. There's only the constancy of creation, the constancy of extending everything everywhere. Try to put it into words and we're just limiting what's happening. All right. In him is no attack and no illusion in any form stalks heaven. Heaven is wholly true. All right. He's just making that statement. Just look, heaven is the truth. It's completely true. The oneness is completely true. Your interconnectedness with the oneness is wholly true. Right? There's no point of separation between you and God. That's wholly true, he keeps telling us. Right? And then he says, look, you're not asked to fight against your wish to murder. You're not asked to fight against your wish to believe you're separate. You're not asked to fight against your judgment of that person. You don't have to fight against it. You don't have to deny it. Okay? What Jesus is saying is look at it. Right? You can also realize the consequences. How do you feel? All right? You're not asked to fight against your wish to murder, but you are asked to realize the form it takes. Right? Realize that the form it takes conceals the same intent. Doesn't matter what the form is. Oh, all I did was call that guy an idiot. That's the form. Okay? He says, look, there's no order of difficulty in miracles. All right? There's no order of difficulty anywhere in thought. That form, well, he's an idiot, conceals the content, which is murder. And the murder is, you're separate. You're separate from God. You're stupid. There's something wrong with you. That's the form is concealing the content. Yeah, but look what he did. Look what he said. And Jesus says, look, don't fight it. Just look at it. And look at the repercussions. Look at how do you feel total peace after you call somebody an idiot? Huh? Wow. You feel that split second of victory or something? Then other things, other realizations pop up in your mind that you immediately have to cover. In other words, the guilt. All right? And in order to cover the guilt, sometimes we keep reliving the situation, even though it happened yesterday, or it happened 3 hours ago. We keep convincing ourselves that we were right. The guy is an idiot. But what we have done is we have, in the poetic sense here, we have murdered that person. Oh, look at his shoes. What an idiot. Look at the way he dresses. Look at the way he looks. Look at the shape of his body. Look at the skin. Look at the hair. I mean, really. It goes on and on. He doesn't belong to the same political party as me. Right? He doesn't believe in the same things. Oh, look, he condones hunting. You know, whatever. Therefore, we judge them. All right? And that, believe me, that's, you can think about what we did last week, the first law of chaos. The first law of a chaotic existence is that the truth is different for everyone. Right? So in order to get out of that situation, Jesus is trying to help us here. He says, don't fight against it, just notice what you're doing. You're not asked to fight against your wish to murder. But just realize that the form it takes conceals the same intent. All right? Everything, it's to reinforce the idea that we are not one. We are separate. We're not one. All right? Even in this form here, on this earth experience, right? We're not one. Jesus says, look, if you could just realize for 1 second that you are all the same insofar as you have the same need to escape this illusion, to escape the ego thought system, which tells you you're separated from God. He says you could start there. You all have the same need. All right, but you are asked to realize that the form it takes conceals the same intent. And it is this you fear, not the form. So you don't fear the form of judging somebody, right? But you do fear the idea that it's murderous. Right? You don't want to face that. All right? And then he just says, but look, what is not love is murder. You know, he's getting a little bit more explicit in his idea that this is a one or the other system. What is not love is murder. And we don't recognize all the forms the murder takes. You know, you walk down the street and you go, wow, that guy doesn't take care of his house. What's wrong with him? Right? What a terrible looking garden with all the weeds. You know, as you're walking by, you're out for a walk. Right? Some people go so far as to report their neighbors. He hasn't cut his lawn in years. Oh my goodness. And we don't realize that that's a form of murder because it's projecting the idea of separation. There's differences and separation. If there's differences, we have to defend against them, all that. So what is not loving must be an attack. Sentence 12, paragraph 1. Every illusion is an assault on the truth. Right? Every illusion is an assault on the truth. Why? Because the truth is whole. The truth is wholeness. Okay? Heaven is wholly true. So every illusion is it's an assault, it's an attack. It's an assault on the truth. And everyone does violence to the idea of love because it seems to be of equal truth, right? Because we believe in it so strenuously. It does violence to truth. It keeps reinforcing the fact of separation. And Jesus, once again, he just tells us, don't force yourself. Just notice what you're doing. Don't try to put the brakes on and reverse yourself. Just notice what you're doing. Tap the brakes, as they say. And say, oh yeah, look what I'm doing. And then realize that it doesn't make you happy, so I really want to see things differently. Okay? Paragraph 2. What can be equal to the truth and yet different? Murder and love are incompatible. Yet if they both are true, then must they be the same and indistinguishable from one another. So will they be to those who see God's Son a body. For it is not the body that is like the Son's creator. And what is lifeless cannot be the Son of life. How can a body be extended to the whole universe? Can it create and be what it creates? And can it offer its creations all that it is and never suffer loss? Okay, so he's hearkening back to that last sentence in paragraph 1. You know, every illusion, it seems to be equal to the truth. Right? Yet, but what can be equal to truth yet different? Right? Can the illusions still be equal to truth and yet different? Because everything is different. Everybody has different truths. He says murder and love are incompatible. Right? Yet if they're both true, they must be the same and indistinguishable from one another. All right? And they will be indistinguishable by those who see the Son of God as a body. Once you're in the ego thought system of separation, it's almost like this just happens. It happens like that. We see people as bodies, right? And we think we love some bodies rather than others, and we love some bodies in different degrees than others, right? And yet there's something of an idea of we want something in return for that love. That's where the attack comes in. That's where the murder comes in. It looks all nice. It looks sweet. I hate to ruin it for you. All right? And she just says, don't worry about it. Just notice it. Right? Don't condemn yourself for anything. Right? And don't say, no, I don't do that. Because we do. We all do it. The idea is to notice that you're doing it so that you can do things differently. You can see your partner differently. You can see that person that you say you love. You can see them differently, and the love will be stronger because it's true. It's coming from truth. It's growing in truth. Let's put it that way. Right? And he says, but you can't tell the difference between love and murder if all we're seeing is bodies. Because some you love and some you don't. Right? And like I say, there's some that you love, it's like you're trying to get something in return because you think you're lacking something. Because I believe in separation. You see how it all connects eventually. Right? Okay. For it is not the body that is like the Son's creator. The body is not like God. Okay? The Son's creator. And what is lifeless cannot be the Son of life. Right? So this thing, this form, cannot really be you. Cannot really be you, the offspring of God. Right? How can a body be extended to hold the universe? Right? Your true self, holds the universe. You are the universe. He says, how can a body do that? Right? How can a body, when it's limited? It's limited. It's got boundaries. Right? How can a body be extended to hold the universe? Can it create and be what it creates? You know, we think we create, but what we created is separate from us. Right? I mean, some people don't even, they say, I don't know. They talk about their kids. It's like, they don't recognize them sometimes. All right. So what you think you created is not you. It's separate. Okay. Can it create and be what it creates? And can it offer its creations all that it is and never suffer loss? All right. Can I offer my creations all that I am without suffering any loss? Not in form. All right. Only in truth, only in the oneness, where our function is to create, is to extend. And we are what we extend. And we don't decrease or diminish in any way. Right? And can it offer its creations all that it is and never suffer loss? Paragraph 3. God does not share his function with a body. He gave the function to create unto his Son because it is his own. It is not sinful to believe the function of the Son is murder, but it is insanity. What is the same can have no different function. Creation is the means of God's extension, and what is his must be his Son's as well. Either the Father and the Son are murderers, or neither is. Life makes not death, creating like itself. God's function, right? The Creator's function, the primary source's function. Any way you want to consider what we use the word God to describe. The original impulse. All right, does not share its function with a body. All right? The mind of God extended, and there you are. All right? That's who you are, not the body. And he gave the function. You have the same function. You have the same function because it's his function. Right? And forgive me, I'm old. I still use the male pronouns. All right? And so does the course. All right? We're trying to get past that. So God does not share his function with a body. He gave the function to create unto his Son because it's his own. Here, this is me. This is what I do. Here, that's what you do. All right? We extend everything everywhere. And then Jesus goes, look, it's not sinful. Right? You're not going to get punished to believe that the function of the Son is murder. All right? Remember, the original murder is the murder of the oneness, the murder of God, so to speak. He said, well, it's not sinful to believe that. He said, but it's crazy. It's insanity. All right? It's not sinful to believe that you're separated from God. It's just nutty. All right? It's crazy. And so that's why you keep saying, just look what it is that you believe. Look what it is that you're doing and thinking. And don't judge yourself for it. Just, if you want to correct it, you come inside to your mind, where all correction is. And you say, help me to see it correctly. I'm willing. I'm willing to be corrected. All right? I'm willing to be sane, thank you. So he says, not sinful to believe the function of the Son of God is murder, but it is insanity. What is the same can have no different function. All right, so you are the same as God. You don't have a different function. You can't have a different function. Creation is the means for God's extension. And the word creation in the Course is the extension of the thought of love, say. All right? The extension of love. That's all you're asked to do. That's all God does. He says, I do that, that's what you do, because I created you, like me. All right? That's your function. And down here, whatever down is, in this experience that we're having here, the reflection of that love is forgiveness. That's our function here. Our function is to take back our projections of guilt and have them retranslated. Help me to see it correctly. Right? We always need help to do that. And the idea of Jesus is the symbol for that help. Okay? The Holy Spirit is the symbol for that help. Okay? So, creation is the means of God's extension. And what is His must be His Son's as well. So either the Father and the Son are murderers, or neither is. Life makes not death, creating like itself. All right? So he says, you're the same as God. All right? So if you think you're a murderer, deep down inside, then God must be a murderer. All right? And you could have a strong case for saying the God of the Old Testament is a bit of a murderer. All right? He's wiping people out left and right. All right? Because that was written by humans, written by members of the human race, all right? Projecting their ideas onto God. As if, God would threaten people. All right, but that's part of the, part of the makeup of how we're brought up. It's part of the ideas of how we come to fear God. Being a God-fearing man is still, to this day, in this country, supposed to be some kind of a good thing. To me, it only goes so far as he might not break too many laws, no big laws he won't break, But anyway, so either the Father and the Son are murderers, or neither is, because life makes not death, creating like itself. God, who is life, creates like himself. That's it. There is no opposite. So there is no death. Okay. There is no death in heaven, I should say. Okay. So, paragraph 4. Let me flick away some notice I got here. Okay. Paragraph 4. The lovely light of your relationship is like the love of God. It cannot yet assume the holy function God gave his Son, for your forgiveness of your brother is not complete as yet, and so it cannot be extended to all creation. Each form of murder and attack that still attracts you, and that you do not recognize for what it is, limits the healing and the miracles you have the power to extend to all Yet does the Holy Spirit understand how to increase your little gifts and make them mighty. Although he understands your relationship is raised above the Although he understands how your relationship is raised above the battleground, in it no more, right? This is your part, to realize that murder in any form is not your will. The overlooking of the battleground is now your purpose. Right? Purpose is everything. Right? Holy Spirit understands how your relationship is raised above the battleground. In it no more. Right? So the Holy Spirit knows how you can raise your relationships above the battleground, above the conflict. Okay? So Jesus says that the lovely light of your relationship is like the love of God. So when I come inside and I'm asking Jesus, help me to see correctly. Right? I'm joining with that light. I'm joining with the light. Right? And it's extended because I want to see a situation or a person. I want to see them correctly. Right? And he says, so the lovely light of your relationship is like the love of God. So my relationship with you, my relationship with the bus driver, the person that's standing in front of me, right? My relationship with my little kitty cat who just joined, right? He says it's like the love of God if we're asking to see it correctly, all right? And he says, but yet it cannot assume the holy function God gave his Son. That is to see everything correctly. That is to see everything through the eyes of truth and love. Right? He says it cannot yet assume the holy function, for your forgiveness of your brother is not complete as yet. And so it cannot be extended to all creation. Right? There's still some people or things that we keep out, we keep away, we keep them at arm's distance. I can love everybody else except that guy. Damn. All right? And he says, don't deny that urge to keep them outside of heaven, that urge to murder. Right? Just notice it. And notice, and remember that it's just keeping you from seeing the entire world of form correctly. Being in the real world where everything is understood. Right? We get there incrementally, it seems. Right? For your forgiveness of your brother is not complete as yet. Right? And so your love cannot be extended to all creation. Each form of murder and attack that still attracts you and that you do not recognize for what it is limits the healing and the miracles you have the power to extend to all. So Jesus is reminding us once again this is a process. Right? And sometimes we don't even recognize the forms of murder, the form that we're using to keep this person or situation or whatever outside of the oneness, outside of heaven. We're projecting some kind of guilt onto that person. Right? I mean, really, it's not easy to miss in your own life. What's easy to do is to deny, right? Or to hide it, to run away from it, right? Or to be embarrassed by it, or to feel shamed by it. He's telling us don't do any of those things. Just notice. you know, notice how you're so wonderful and loving in your profession, in whatever your profession is. Right? You can be very kind, and love can come through you. You could be a channel of love, no matter what you're doing. And then all of a sudden you go home you turn on the TV, and next thing you know, you see a member of some political party that you don't like, and bang, you don't even recognize that this is murder, right? I can't stand that guy. I hate him. So he says these are the little things that are preventing you from extending love everywhere, all right? Which is eventually what you will do. All right? And remember last week he said in any instant we can change our minds. All right? So each form of murder and attack that still attracts you, you know, because sometimes it actually feels good. Because we know who the guilty party is. Look what he's done. Look what she's done. That's the guilty person. I can't stand them. I got to get rid of them. All right? So each form of murder and attack that still attracts you and that you don't recognize for what it is limits the healing and the miracles that you have the power to extend to all. So all of a sudden our love, that channel of love, all of a sudden shuts down. It's limited. We can always get back to it. All right? But it's still limited when we get back to it because there's certain people we want to keep outside the circle of love. Yet does the Holy Spirit understand how to increase your little gifts and make them mighty. All right? So the Holy Spirit understands how to help us. All right? We don't do this by ourselves, because if we did it by ourselves, we'd always be coming up with these ego solutions, which keeps us in the, keeps us in the rat race, so to speak. Keeps us on the hamster wheel. It also keeps us in the wheel of karma, the karmic wheel, so to speak. All right, we can go from the mundane to the spiritual or the metaphysical. All right, but the Holy Spirit knows how to help. All right, although He understands, He understands how your relationship is raised above the battleground. In it no more. Right? The Holy Spirit knows how your relationship is raised. Right? Above this conflict, above this idea of separation, this battleground that we find ourselves in. Right? The Holy Spirit knows how you can do that, and you won't be in it anymore. And this is your part. To realize that murder in any form is not your will. All right? Murder in any form, whether it's out and out screaming and yelling or just the thought. Right? Look at what a doofus this guy is. Ooh, I hate that pair of shoes he's wearing. Right? Oh, the hair looks so ugly. How could he or she wear their hair like that? I mean, there's billions of ways that we murder. Right? What is not love is murder. And don't be afraid to look at that. Right? The fear of looking at it is what keeps us in it. Right? And don't be ashamed. Just realize it doesn't make you peaceful. We're not looking to judge ourselves either. Right? And the Holy Spirit knows how to do it, how to help us. And the idea is to go, the moment you say, help me to see this correctly. I'm willing to see this correctly. You have risen above the battleground. Think of that. You have lifted yourself above the conflict, right? You're looking down on it now. Help me to see it correctly, right? So this is your part, to realize that murder in any form is not your will. The overlooking of the battleground is now your purpose. Help me to see the battleground correctly. Help me to see this opponent correctly. This is now you're overlooking it. You're looking down on the battleground. Right, with the symbol of unconditional love around you. He says, paragraph 5, be lifted up, and from a higher place look down upon it. From there will your perspective be quite different. Here in the midst of it, it does seem real. Here you have chosen to be a part of it. Here murder is your choice. Yet from above the choice is miracles instead of murder. And the perspective coming from this choice shows you the battle is not real and easily escaped. All right, my little sissy needs a chin rub. So, he says, be lifted up. Here you have chosen to be a part of it, and here murder is your choice. Yet from above, the choice is miracles instead of murder. That change in perspective, the miracle. And the perspective coming from this choice shows you the battle is not real and easily escaped. Bodies may battle, but the clash of forms is meaningless. And it is over when you realize it never was begun. How can a battle be perceived as nothingness when you engage in it? How can the truth of miracles be recognized if murder is your choice? All right? So from above the battleground, when I say, help me to see correctly, I'm willing to see correctly. Right? I'm above the battleground now. And he says the change in perspective will be wonderful. All right? So, yet from above, the choice is miracles instead of murder. And the perspective coming from this choice shows you the battle is not real and easily escaped. Right? Because the more we ask for help in seeing correctly and seeing the truth, the more we realize the meaninglessness of the clashes. Right? And there's no other way for me to explain that or put it to you differently. You will experience it for yourself. Right? You just can't write things off as, oh, that's just meaningless. You know, you need to experience it. Right? And we only experience it by rising above, by going into the mind and asking for help. Help me to see. Help me to have my perspective retranslated. Right? But he says, otherwise, how can a battle be perceived as meaningless if you're engaging in it? Right? If you don't stand up in the sandbox, as Ken would say. Right? How can you perceive the battle differently if you're still fighting? Right? And he says, here is your choice. It's your choice. Murder or the miracle. All right. Paragraph 6. When the temptation to attack rises to make your mind darkened and murderous, remember, you can see the battle from above. Okay? Even in forms you do not recognize, the signs you know. There's a stab of pain, a twinge of guilt, and above all, a loss of peace. This you know well. When they occur, leave not your place on high, but quickly choose a miracle instead of murder, and God himself and all the lights of heaven will gently lean to you and hold you up, for you have chosen to remain where he would have you, and no illusion can attack the peace of God together with his Son. Right? You are invulnerable when you're joined with the oneness, with God. So he says, look, whenever you're tempted, right, to attack, all right, and this attack makes your mind darkened and murderous, as quickly as you can, remember, you can see the battle from above. Right? You can dissociate from the battle. Right? You can rise above it. And he says, even in forms you don't recognize. Excuse me. He says, you're in the battle. You're in the conflict. If there's a little stab of pain, a little twinge of guilt, right? And above all, a loss of peace. I think I was mentioning this last week. You get to the point where you feel that subtle shift. Oh, I'm really not peaceful. Okay? I'm really not peaceful. He says, this you know well. All right? So he says, and when this happens, don't descend into the conflict. Stay in your place on high, in the mind, and quickly choose a miracle instead of murder. Help me to see correctly. Help me to see correctly. And this is something to be applied in our daily lives. This is the only direction as Jesus really gives us. He never says do this, do that. The only do this is choose once again. Choose the miracle instead of murder. And he's just telling us that you can start to feel when you're moving toward murder. All right? It just reminds me of I'm driving the other day in Manhattan, which is opportunity for murder. Many occasions, all right, no matter what time of day or night. And all of a sudden I could feel myself moving into the space where like somebody was going to get it. Somebody was going to get a mouthful. I was going to say something to somebody. You could feel that. It's raising up like a spark, like electricity, like lightning is building up from the ground. You're just waiting to meet the charge. Boom. Right? After a while, you start to notice these things. All right? He says that loss of peace. Above all, that loss of peace. All right? And I just had to make, at that point, you make a decision. Do I want to play it out? Or do I want to be peaceful? And remember the times when you were peaceful. That's a good way to do it. Wouldn't you prefer that than having some, out-and-out argument with a stranger? You know, and these days you never know what that argument leads to, for God's sake. You know, I mean, I know it's nutty all over the world, but, you know, in Manhattan we have nutty people killing each other over a parking spot. You know, it doesn't happen every day, but believe me, it has happened. You know, people get angry for whatever reason. You know, and you know, my life would be better if you weren't in it. Bang, there it is. And he says, and you know it well. You know this feeling. You'll get to know it well if you're observant. Right? And if you're not, you know, dissociating from the fact that you do have an urge to yell at somebody, which is murder. You know, what the hell's wrong with you? Wake up. Right? You should wake up before you get in the street. Whatever silly comment you want to make to rile the other person up. And sometimes you rile up the wrong person. He says, so don't leave that place on high. Don't leave that right mind. Right? And the moment you feel yourself sliding out there, you have a choice to make. I want to see correctly. I really want peace above all else. I want to see. I want to see the truth. All right? Because after a while, you know, a peaceful existence, a sense of serenity, it's just preferable, believe me. I mean, wouldn't you rather be wherever you are in a state of peace, right, with a little smile on your face, and your forehead is not all wrinkled up? Yeah. The choice is ours. That's what he keeps telling us. He says, when they occur, when you feel yourself slipping, quickly choose a miracle instead of murder. And God himself and all the lights of heaven will gently lean to you and hold you up. Right? And of course, this is poetic metaphor, but this is the truth. The oneness comes to support you. The oneness comes to support you in a language that we can understand. All right? This is because you've chosen to remain where God would have you. And no illusion can attack the peace of God together with his Son. Right? So none of these illusions, you know, jaywalkers or terrible drivers or people not paying attention, or, you know, we're just having the driving theme here, but none of those illusions can attack my peace because I'm joined with the oneness. Help me to see correctly. All right? And little by little, we practice that, and it grows stronger. And it grows stronger until that instant arises when I can extend that peace to the entire universe. Okay then. Paragraph 7. See no one from the battleground, for there you look on him from nowhere. You have no reference point from where to look, where meaning can be given what you see, for only bodies could attack and murder. And if this is your purpose, then you must be one of them. Then you must be one with them. Only a purpose unifies, and those who share a purpose have a mind as one. The body has no purpose of itself and must be solitary. From below, it cannot be surmounted. From above, the limits it exerts on those in battle still are gone and not perceived. The body stands between the Father and the heaven he created for his Son, because it has no purpose. The body has no purpose. unless we choose to give it the purpose of proving separation. Right? Or we accept the Holy Spirit's purpose. Then the body can be used to promote the oneness. All right? The body has no purpose of itself. All right? From above, the limits it exerts of those in battle still are gone, but not perceived. There are no limits when we're looking at it from above. Paragraph 8. Think what is given to those who share the Father's purpose and who know that it is theirs. They want for nothing. Sorrow of any kind is inconceivable. Only the light they love is in awareness, and only love shines upon them forever. It is their past, their present, and their future, always the same, eternally complete and wholly shared. They know it is impossible their happiness could ever suffer change of any kind. Perhaps you think the battleground can offer something you can win. Can it be anything that offers you a perfect calmness and a sense of love so deep and quiet that no touch of doubt can ever mar your certainty and that will last forever? All right. So this is just try to imagine what the Father's gift to you is. Those who share the Father's purpose of extending love everywhere. All right? He says, you who share the Father's purpose, you want for nothing. And sorrow of any kind is inconceivable. Only the light they love is in their awareness. And only love shines upon them forever. It's their past, present, and future, always the same. Eternally complete and wholly shared. All right? Using words to describe the heaven, so to speak. All right? And they know that their happiness could never change. And then he says, perhaps you think you can still get something here in this battleground. He says, perhaps you think the battleground can offer you something you can win. All right? He says, can it be anything that offers you a perfect calmness, like you would experience sharing the purpose of God? All right? Can it be anything that offers you a perfect calmness and a sense of love so deep and quiet that no touch of doubt can ever mar your certainty? And that will last forever? He says, can anything in this battleground offer you something like that? Paragraph 9. Well, obviously, some of us think there is. That's why we get ourselves all mixed up. And we're not aware of the peace. There's that sense of loss. Paragraph 9, those with the strength of God in their awareness could never think of battle. What could they gain but loss of their perfection? For everything fought for on the battleground is of the body, something it seems to offer or to own. No one who knows that he has everything could seek for limitation. Nor could he value the body's offerings. The senselessness of conquest is quite apparent from the quiet sphere around the battleground, above the battleground. What can conflict with everything? And what is there that offers less, yet could be wanted more? Who, with the love of God upholding him, could find the choice of miracles or murder hard to make. All right? So those with the strength of God in their awareness could ever think of going to the battle. All right? What would they gain except the loss of their perfection? Just because everything in this battleground, everything in this dream, this illusion, this experience of form, this physicality, right, everything is of the body. Right? Something it seems to offer the body or something the body can own. Right? No one who knows that he has everything could seek for a limitation like this. Nor could he value the body's offerings. Just what pops into my mind is that New Testament tale of Jesus in the desert before his entrance into Jerusalem. Jesus in the desert being tempted by the devil. Right? All kinds of things. Yeah, we'll give you this. We'll give you that. Wouldn't you want a little of this? All this could be yours. All right? But then Jesus knows what could be better than perfection? What can be better than joining with God? What can be better than everlasting happiness and peace? All right? What could be better? For everything fought for on the battleground is of the body. And no one who knows that he has everything could seek for limitation. Nor could he value the body's offerings. Right? The senselessness of conquest is quite apparent from the sphere above the battleground. Right? When we rise above it, and we just rise above the battleground when we say, help me to see it correctly. We have risen above the battleground. All right? It's not a long trip. All right? It doesn't take any physical effort. I mean, it took physical effort, I probably wouldn't do it. And what can conflict with everything? All right. Why would you choose the conflict? All right. Who, with the love of God upholding him, could find the choice of miracles or murder hard to make? All right. You're in that right-minded space, all right, with the love of God upholding you. And once you become aware of that, who could make that, the choice for murder? Who could find the choice of miracles or murder hard to make? And we realize the love of God more and more in our connection to it and our association with it. Right? And realizing that is our nature. We come to realize that more and more. And so we choose the murder less and less. All right? And there's all kinds of forms of murder. All right? Just notice them. He says, don't fight it. Just notice it. And when you notice it, there's your opportunity to ask for help. If you want to be peaceful. Help me to see it correctly. All right? And as that love, the awareness of that love connection grows, he said, who could find the choice difficult between murder and miracles? All righty then. We have come to the conclusion of chapter 23. All right? I was going to do this in the beginning, I forgot. once again, I like to periodically remind people that this is the place, all right, online, all right, facim.org. All right, and this is where you find all the material related to Dr. Kenneth Wapnick, all of his teachings. That's what he did when he read the section in the text called "For They Have Come." He said that when he was finished reading that, he said he realized that the Course in Miracles was going to become his life's work. And I guess for the next 50 years or so, my math skills are not that good right now. 40 years at least, okay? He taught and wrote about and explained, made it easy for us to understand what was being said in these books. All right? And this is a gold mine of information here at that website. All righty then. Thank you for being here. I welcome your comments. All right, and until the next time, peace and love.